Okay, back to the dinim of Rosh Chodesh. We're middle of Hallel. Okay, so there's certain parts of Hallel that you repeat a little bit. Well, so first of all, you have when you say Haidol Hashem Kitev in the new Sidurim, it's very clear the way they made it. But the Chazan says Haidol Hashem Kitev Kelam Chazdei, and then the congregation says Haidol Hashem Kitev Kelam Chazdei Yemenei Yisrael Kelam Chazdei. Chazan says Yemenei Yisrael, we say the next two, and so on. The Chazan himself says the pasuk of Haidol Hashem Kitev Kelam Chazdei between each one. In other words, the Chazan says Haidol Hashem Kitev Kelam Chazdei. The community says the next two. Chazan says Yemenei Yisrael Kelam Chazdei. The people say the next two. Meanwhile, he just says Haidol Hashem Kitev Kelam Chazdei. So you say Haidol Hashem Kitev. Both the community and the Chazan say it in between each one of those chapters. Then you have, after that, you have at the end of the Min HaMeitzar. Okay, so you have the last psukim, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 psukim, we double it. Starting from Eitcha Ki Anisani, we double it. Evan Moasu Abrainim, Meisa Shem Haisu Zais, and Zahayim. These 5 psukim, like everybody doubles them. Why do we double them? So it says in Sfarim, the reason why we double them is because the whole chapter, excluding the first pasuk, the whole chapter really goes in doubles. After Min HaMeitzar, you have Hashem li le'ira, Mayasu Hashem li beis ani eres, Tev lachsis b'Hashem, Tev lachsis b'Hashem. Kol goyim sevuni, sevuni gam sevuni. All the psukim in that chapter are really doubled. More or less, not exactly the same thing, but they're doubled. The last 5 psukim are not doubled. So therefore, just to keep uniform of the rest of the chapter, we say twice Eitcha and twice Evan Ma'asvan, and Meis Hashem and Zahayim. That's the reason why we double it. What?
You say it's written in the Safari, what do you refer to Safari?
Holy books of halacha. No, the Gemara doesn't talk about this, but the Rambam talks about it, different codifiers talk about it.
Or sages.
Or sages, yeah. Sages, good. Okay, so that's the reason why we doubled the last 5 psukim, and that's why we doubled not only that, we doubled on Hashem Mashiach twice. Baruch haba b'shem Hashem, we double, and the Kel Hashem ve'yorlanu, Kel yatav edeka, and Haidol Hashem Kitev. These are all, in Tilim, these are all till the end of the Tilim. So we doubled the last 5 psukim at the end of Min HaMeitzar, and then the Honor Hashems we double, and then Baruch haba we double Kel Hashem, and Kel Yata we double all those psukim. Okay, that's as far as the actual Hallel, which is from Tilim. Then you have the last brachas, Yaluch Hashem Elokecha Kol Masecha, and we leave out the word, the Rebbe writes, we leave out the word Al. There's reasons for it why you leave out the word Al. And then the Chazan says, Melch Mulo Batishbachis. It's also a minig on Rosh Chodesh. On the next page you say the 3 psukim of Ram Zaken, Vaad Yishmereni, and no, there's like 2 psukim. 2 psukim. What?
Like 3 times?
Why do you say them?
3 times.
Why do you say them before? Sorry, I remember what the reason is, but we say it 3 times to make it established. It's interesting, in the old Siddur it says Vayomer Zavadia. Here they took out the word Vayomer. So it says, why does it say Vayomer? Because you would think Zvadia is the name of a malach. You say Zvadia Shmereni Vichaneni, Zvadia is the name of a malach. So some people don't say names of malachim. So it's a Vayomer, you do say it. What?
Shabbat or holiday, they don't say this, right?
No. Well, if it's Rosh Chodesh, yes. Yeah. Shabbos Rosh Chodesh also, not Yom Tov not, because it's not Rosh Chodesh, only Rosh Chodesh we say it. Okay, then we have, we learned about what you're allowed to be mafsik in the middle of Shema. Okay, what happens if somebody reads, is an interesting thing. What happens if somebody reads Hallel backwards? You go from the end to the beginning. So you have the same din by the Megillah. The Mishnah says in Megillah, Akeres and Megillah Mafrei Lo Yotza. But it says if you read the Megillah backwards, we enter the beginning, you're not Yotza. By Hallel it also said, what?
Why would want to do that?
Valid question.
Why would people want to do push-ups and show right before mincha? And certain people, you don't ask questions. Why?
You won't see me, I was hiding.
No, I didn't say anything. I'm not saying it. I just made a comment. I didn't say who did it. I'm just saying. So why? But it's interesting. They bring a proof from a pasuk in Hallel that you can't say Hallel backwards. Because in the first paragraph of Hallel says, "Mimizrach shemesh ad mevayai," from the Mizrach shemesh ad mevayai, meaning from the sun, time the sun rises, Mimizrach shemesh ad mevayai until it sets, Moholo Shem Hashem, it praises the name of Hashem, right? So when the sun comes up in the east and sets in the west, so like we learned already many times, when it says in Haluluka, in Psukkah Zimmer, Halat Hashem and Hashemeh, Halul Koch V'yod, Shmei Hashemayim, everybody is praising Hashem. Where do you see they praise Hashem? Because they come up in the east and they set in the west, and the Shekhinah is in the west, the Gemara says. So when they come up in the east and they go like this, so they're actually bowing the whole time to Hashem. That's what the pasuk says until Mimizrach Shemesh Ad Mevayai Moholol Shem Hashem. So it says just like sunrise and sundown don't change positions, so also we shouldn't change the wording in praising Hashem. So therefore, by the way, if you read it backwards, you're not Yotze. You have to read it again. Okay, what? Technically, you could read Hallel a whole day. What happened to somebody Davin Shachris? The Davin Musaf. It happened. Somebody called me the other day. They forgot. It was Rosh Chodesh. Could be it was yesterday, in fact.
Yeah.
No, today. I mean, or whatever. It was somebody. They Davin Musaf, and they realized later in the day they didn't say Hallel.
Oh, one day you have to tell us some of the serious questions you could ask.
Okay, I'll tell you. So then. So you could say Hallel any time during the day. The Chachamim established, like we learned the other day, after Shachris, right straight from Shachris, you say Hallel. But if somebody didn't say Hallel, then you could say it a whole day. It's better to say it after sunrise. In fact, it says better after sunrise. But b'diavad, if you have to, you can read it already from Alesa Shachar from dawn, which is 72 minutes before. Next thing is, it's preferred to say Hallel b'loshen Kodesh. The Bach holds you should say Hallel dafke in Hebrew. But the Alter Rebbe brings down what happens if somebody can't read Hebrew, doesn't read Hebrew, whatever it is, they could say it in any language. Even if they don't understand the language, they're still Yotze. Huh? For Hallel, I'm saying. Yeah. Not for everything, but Hallel. You could be Yotze like that. Because it's one of the few things you don't have to understand what you're saying. Shema, you have to understand what you're saying. Few things, it says you don't have to understand what you're saying.
I thought for like the rest of the davening, if you're going to do it in another language.
Davening, yeah, but the Hallel not. Davening, if you're saying it in any language, you have to understand what it's saying. But not Hallel. Hallel's a different. Hallel's not davening. Hallel's the mitzvah of Hallel. It's a separate mitzvah. Okay, next is like this. Women are not obligated to read Hallel because it's a mitzvah connected to time. We only say it certain times, Rosh Chodesh, Yom Tov, things like that. But if they want, they're allowed to, and they're also allowed to make a bracha. But again, that's the way the Ashkenazim hold, that women are allowed to make a bracha even on mitzvahs they're not obligated in. That's the Taisis, the Rashba, the Ramah, that's what all the Ashkenazi poskim hold. That a mitzvah a woman's not obligated in, she can still make a bracha when she does it. The Rambam, Bais Yosef, the Svardim, most of them have a minhag that women don't make a bracha on a mitzvah they're not obligated to do. They could do the mitzvah, but they're not, so therefore, the way we paskin, a woman can make a bracha on Hallel, she could chant mitzvah tzivanu. According to Svardim, they can't, because they're not obligated at all in the mitzvah of Hallel, so you can't make a bracha on that mitzvah. Okay, you say that, okay. Okay, next. So after Kriyas HaTorah, after all that, those things we discussed already, you have Tfilas Musaf on Rosh Chodesh. So those Yomim Tovim that have basically all the biblical holidays have a Korban Musaf. Okay, you have Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, Yom Tov, Chol Hamoed, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. There's a Korban Musaf they brought. Why is it called Korban Musaf? Because it's an additional Korban over every day. There was a Korban Tamid that they brought every day, and then they brought also on Yom Tov, Rosh Chodesh, Shabbos, Korban Musaf. So when the Chachamim, because in the time of the Beis Hamikdash they brought an additional Korban, so the Chachamim instituted in davening, you also bring as daven an extra tefillah called Korban Musaf. So you have to mention the Korban Musaf of that day. Okay? So what happens if somebody by mistake, instead of davening Musaf, they daven another Shacharis? They just said again the whole 18 or 19 brachas of the Amid. They're not Yaitza, they have to daven Musaf again anyway. So you have to daven Musaf, you have to mention something about the Korbanos and everything like that. What?
On Rosh Chodesh, on the tradition, we say Keter, but we don't want to say it because Keter
It's a crowd.
The crowd, but on Shabbos also, on Musaf, I say Keter.
Oh, it's not. No, that has to. By the way, it's only Nusach Sfard. Like the Ashkenazim don't say Kesi Yitnulcha. They say a different thing. They don't say Kesi Yitnulcha. It's only the Sfardim say and Nusach Sfard, like Nusach Chabad or what the other Chassidim Davin, it's called Nusach Sfard. They say Kesi Yitnulcha. The Nusach Ashkenaz doesn't have Kesi Yitnulcha. It's a whole different type of Kedusha. But we say it, and now, okay. So what happens again? A guy's about to daven Musaf. He said, Baruch Atah Hashem HaKol HaKadosh, and then he says, Ata, Chaynein. He forgot, he's davening Musaf. So even though we learned that sometimes you have to finish the bracha, like in Shabbos you finish the bracha, but over here you have to stop cold turkey. Even in the middle of the word, not middle of a word. If you finish the word even in the middle of a phrase, you have to stop, and start davening Musaf. Rosh Chodashim Lamcha Nasata. So because now you're davening something that shouldn't be said. Shabbos we learned really you're supposed to say the weekday davening. So if you say started in the Shabbos, you finish the bracha. But here, you're not supposed to be saying it. You're supposed to be davening Musaf. So therefore, you're supposed to stop cold turkey. Wherever you are, you're supposed to stop and then go immediately to Musaf, to daven Musaf. Okay, you have to, we said that you're not Yaitza. Now what happens if somebody doesn't remember if they daven Musaf or not? It's a doubt. So normally you can have, like what happens we don't do this today, but what happens somebody doesn't remember that they daven mincha or not? So you can daven what's called tfilas nedava. You can daven a gift davening. Today we don't do it because it says you need to have a lot of kavanah, we don't, so you don't do tfilas nedava today. But Musaf, there's no such thing as tfilas nedava of Musaf. Musaf is a communal korban. You can't have an individual bringing a korban Musaf. So therefore, the din is that if somebody doesn't remember if he davened Musaf or not, because it's a doubt, it's a machlekes if you do or not, so therefore what do? You don't daven. Because it's a doubt, maybe you daven, then you're going to be saying brachas in vain. So it says what you should do, in that case, is listen to the Chazan's repetition, word by word, have in mind that you're Yaitza, and then you're not saying any brachos in vain, and then you could be Yaitza that way. What?
What about after you eat? If you don't remember if you said it or not?
You don't say it. Benching, if you ate that you're full, and you don't remember if I benched or not, then it's a biblical doubt, and then you have to bench. But if you ate, let's say, an ounce of bread and you're not full, and then you don't remember if you benched or not, you can, because then benching is only rabbinic. Right? Biblical is only when you're full. So then you're rabbinic, and rabbinic you don't repeat brachas because it may be a bracha in vain. What?
If like a night like tonight, where you're going Rosh Chodesh to the week, between Shia and nightfall, let's say you start drinking wine, the after bracha, you add for Rosh Chodesh or you don't?
No. Okay, Musaf is really right after Shachris. Now, ideally, you should not daven Musaf after 7 hours of the day, which is an hour after, halachic hour after midday. And if you do, you're called a pesheya, a sinner, negligent sinner, and so on. So, what do you do, though? What happens if a guy daven mincha early, and then he realized he didn't daven Musaf? So again, we said Musaf is really a whole day, like Hallel. So then is you daven Musaf after mincha. What?
What if we said Hamotzi before Rosh Chodesh is over, and then we go into night, that is not Rosh Chodesh anymore? Do we add the Yahweh and all that?
If, let's say, today before sundown. Yeah? Today is Rosh Chodesh. Tonight's not. So what happens if today before, let's say 4:35, okay? Yeah? So let's say 4:35, which is not, 4:45, let's say, is Shkia, right? At 4:30 you washed, okay? And you bench 5 hours later, because you started the meal, you say Yalaviyov in the benching.
Just like Shabbos.
Just like Shabbos. You start the meal, you say Ritzei. Now, what happens, if you daven, what happens if you also, let's say tonight would be Rosh Chodesh and today wasn't, and you started eating at 4:30, but you're going into that and you eat a kazayas at night, then you would say Yalaviyov, according to many opinions.